So hi everybody and welcome back to this Unreal Engine 5 full game tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 22 and in this video we continue with our game. Let's go fast to our overview. Here is our overview. So we are in the block of gameplay, and in gameplay we finished some basic parts, which are our level design, a little bit player character. Yes, we did this obstacle in our last video, and now we are here in obstacle spawner because we need a basic spawner. We have created the obstacle and we need to spawn it now, and we create in this video this obstacle spawner. All right, so we know where we are. We concentrate us here, then we can just jump into our coding section or creating this obstacle. What you do is go to your game, create a new folder, call it obstacle spawner. Of course, you don't have to create all time these new folders. You can manage it like you want. Perhaps you can create a special folder for scene obstacles or scene anything. That's not so important, so you can manage this how you like it. I create a new folder, I call it obstacle spawner, and later I can still change the location here if I want. And in this obstacle spawner, you put right click in it, go to the blueprint class, and an obstacle spawner is also just an actor which we can place in our scene, and it will spawn other actors. So we are selecting actor. I call it, I have here again already created one as a template, so I can use this one and then show you how we make this. And don't forget, all time use your source control to save your progress so that something happens that you can recover it. And anyway, let's go on. So we call this obstacle spawners, call it what you like. I call it spawner obstacle. I already created here one, but now I call this obstacle spawner. We open this up and let me see this reference, what we are going to do. First of all, in the viewport, let's start with the viewport, and in viewport we do nothing. I just added one billboard, and this billboard is just for this billboard here. You can go here to the add button, then write billboard if you want. And then you have this strange symbol here. Of course, you can change this here, but I use it just to see later when I spawn my obstacle here in the scene where it is, because it has no physical, it has no visual representation. And this billboard is just to indicate where my obstacle is, because we will need it for positioning and something like that. So just to make it, you can add also a static mesh and make it visual. You can make it in different ways visual actually. This is only one another way. I use here this time a billboard, but of course you can just add here a static mesh as well. And but careful, when you add a static mesh it will be visible in game. That's why I use a billboard. This will be later not visible in game when you start the game. That's why I make a billboard. It's not visible later. All right, and then what we can, of course, we could set up the static mesh as well, invisible later, but make a billboard, it's easier. All right, with that said, that's all what we need for our viewport. We go directly into our graph, which means we are starting coding a little bit. And so what we need first, we go here to our scene. I already made this setup, and what we are going to do is this one here. When I start this, you can see here it is spawning these obstacles, and this obstacles has even different sizes now. And I said this one we will set up in our spawner, not in our obstacle itself. And of course this one here needs to be optimized, but like I said, this gameplay of this obstacles, players, and all this thing you make, we will do later in the coding section of gameplay coding. Right now we are concentrating only creating the obstacle spawner. All right, with that said, let's see what I need. Here is my example, and you can see I copy just this one here over and then explain it step by step what I did, so that you can follow it. So I will use the tick. When we use tick, you have to be careful. Tick is all time one of these critical nodes where you should think twice before you use it, but in my case I don't care because it's a very simple program. And we tick only one tile. We will tick here. The tick means it is all time asking per frame what you want to do. The first thing what I want to do is set a delay because I don't want spawn. Let's start not with the delay. Let's start with, we want spawn something, right? Because this is a spawner, so we want spawn. And what we want spawn is our obstacle. Let's spawn it. Spawn actor from class. I hope you know this node. It's the spawn actor from class. This is all time when you want spawn something in your scene. And most time you will use this here. This node here, spawn actor from class. Then you have to specify the class which you want spawn, and the class is which we created in our last video, our obstacle. That was called in my case BP obstacle. I have two, I spawned this one. This is the first setting which you have to set because this is that what you spawn. And the next setting, which is also very important, is this transform. And in this transform, I split this pin. I go here, right click on it, split pin, because I want use this, I think. Yeah, I will need just the location here. So the other things are not so important. I want to manipulate this location here because when I place here my spawner and it's spawning one of these obstacles, it should be placed this obstacle on the left wall or on the right wall. That's why I need this position where to spawn the obstacle, and I have to calculate this a little bit. That's why you see here a little bit things here, but it's very easy. So the next thing is actually we are going to set up this calculation. So where we spawn it, so on the left side, on the right side. And before we can do this, what we have to do is actually we have to place our spawner in our scene. So we have created this spawner, and I will use the spawner's location to calculate how much on the left I want spawn the obstacle and on the right, which means here I already did this. What you have to do now is you go to your scene, you go here. Anyway, here's my player start, so my spawner should be not visible when I start this one here because it should be above, so it should be not visible. So I go a little bit above and it should spawn here, and later the spawned obstacle comes down and then it will be visible in gameplay. So we will place it here anywhere. Then you go to your sorry, then you go here to your folder where you create the spawn obstacle, and then you just place it. And you can see now to place it we need this billboard, or I would not really see it, and it's hard to select without it, right? So you see that is one reason why we need it. And this optimization here, you can make it later a little bit more in detail. I make it just so with the thumb rule for not wasting time here on the video. I think that's around the middle. That's okay, and Louis will adjust. So the spawner will spawn here, but I want to spawn it a little bit from above. So I said it should not visible where I spawn it. It should just come down, right? When I start here, it should come down from top, and then it will be visible. Only the obstacle will be visible, not the spawner. So let's put it a little bit higher. So here is my spawner. That's very important because now, like I said, this spawner is spawning this obstacle, but we have now to set the position where we want. And like I said, I want it one time here and one time here. And of course, this solution what I present you now is a very nice one, which I copied from this runner. He just used one spawner. Actually, you could make something like that too, that you just say here, I place here one spawner. For example, you could place here one spawner, and you place here one spawner, and then you don't need to calculate the position. You just spawn it at this point and it goes down. But when you do two spawners, then you need a timing. So which one spawns at which time. So that's the nice thing about just using one spawner, because if you just use one spawner, you know exactly that at this time the spawned element is spawned, one on this side, and they will not overlap. So that's a nice tricky thing. I think that was a nice solution. And I use this solution, and I show you what we have, how we set this up instead of, because normally two spawners are easier, just the timing is then much more difficult. In this case, we have just calculate here this distance here. So we are interested here in the x-axis distance in this direction and x-axis distance in this direction from this spawner point. So with that said, I have to get this value here. I'm interested in this location because this obstacle will be set up in this location. So I have to create a location. Let me see how I did this. Yeah, select vector. So because I have here two sides, I need a location selector. So I have to create two locations, one for this side, one to this side. And the solution in this case, a very nice solution, is again, you can create a selector node. You can write here selector, and then you have here, oops, that's not selector, select, right select, and go down anyhow. And when you go down, you have here the select nodes here. They are different nodes, and we are interested in, I think, select float normally, but we can say this one. It's probably select float. There is another one. Let's see, select. There are many different ones, but when you write select float, I think, yes, then you have this, oh no, select vector. I have to write select vector, sorry. Select vector, because we need vectors. Why we need vectors again? Because this vector here is a location like I showed you here. This is the one location, this is the other location. And the only thing what we have to set up is now a selector, how we select the location here, and the values. And to set up the values, we right click here again, split this. So we have A is, for example, our left side, B again is our right side, and we are only interested in which axis? Only in x-axis, because my spawner is here in the middle. I'm only interested in this x-axis here and x-axis here. Z and Y I don't care. That's good. So I need just to create a value for AX and for BX. AX means here on the left side and BX on the right side. Let's promote this one to a variable. Of course, you can create a float variable by hand and then plug it in, but that's too much time waste. Let's make it faster with this. Right click on AX because I'm interested in X-axis. Promote this to a variable and call this not AX, we call this one, what I called this one here, right spawning position, right? Let's call this, is this right spawning position or is this left spawning? I don't know. Let's call it right spawning position. So this is my right spawning position. And the same with BX because I'm interested in this one too. And here, promote to variable and left spawning position. Left spawning position. So that's also nice. And when you compile, we have to set now these values here. But in a moment, I show you how we set these values very easy. And we don't need to calculate much, we just need to read something. But before that, we need set up, of course, the other values here too. And what values we need for that one? Like I said, we use the spawner. The spawner from this one we calculate, and we calculate only the X values, which means all the other values we don't calculate. So we get it from the spawner actor itself, which means I'm here in the spawner blueprint. I can just get here get actor location, which is this one, and the target is myself because like I said, I'm the spawner here. I'm only interested in my, and you can see here again it's a vector, but we use the X value. That's why we split here again the pin, and X1 we don't use because that one we overwrite and the other ones we just plug in. You can use here one actor and just go from here down as well. But then it looks a little bit, oops, Control Z. Let's copy this one here, copy and paste. But you can make here a little bit more visible and say, okay, I use 2 nodes. That will not kill anything here, but of course you could just plug in here as well and just use 1 node. This is just for visibility. You can see now the lines are absolute clear. So that's nice. And what the next step is, just what we need here is just plug into our new location. And yeah, the spawn rotation and spawn transform scale we have to look later if we really change this. Normally we don't need, but we have to test this in game. So right now we are not interested in this kind of stuff. Right now we have to set up here one more thing. Like I said, we have now compiled. We compile and save this first. And after you compile these variables here, the default values, all time the default values are important. Like I said, this obstacle must be now calculated, 1 for this one left and 1 for right. So how we get the values, and now we can use again our billboard here, our spawner. This is the start point, right? I select this one here. And when we go here to the details panel, right side down details, my location right now for X, I'm only interested in the X value, which is this one here is, oops, is anything like minus 1100 and so. That's not important. The important part is I want it spawn here. So how I get the value here on the left side. So I want spawn it here on the left side. How I get this? What you can make is just copy this billboard by holding Alt and then drag the X value exactly where you want. For example, and now you can just read the value what you need here. It's not the exact value, you have to test this later out, but you know, on this side, the left side, you write here minus 640, let's say minus 640. You go here, this is my right side, this is my left side. Let's write here minus 640. You see, it's not absolutely easy to get the values. And you can delete this side now because we don't need. And here select it, click Alt makes all time it duplicates it automatically. And now I need a value here. Now it is this one here, let's say around here. Minus 500, minus 1500 and anything like 31. Let's just say make it easy numbers. Not that so, and this is the right side. Let's write here minus 1530. That's perfect. Compile, save. We can test it. Almost. We are not finished. There are some settings. That's later, but we still can test it. This one we have to delete again because we won't just use one spawner. And now let's see what happens. Oh, there is one more thing. Don't test it. We need something very, very, very important. Where is it? This one is a tick. If I would start now, that one will spawn me in every frame an obstacle that would kill my PC. That's never do this kind of stuff. To avoid this, we are using a delay node. In general, think about ticks all the time. If you really need a tick, perhaps you don't need a tick, because there is a general rule: if you can avoid the tick, then avoid it. But in my case, it's I won't make it fast, and it will not break my game, so I don't avoid it. I just use it. So, and important is this delay node, because without this delay node, like I said, this will every frame it will set up a spawn that will break your PC. But when I set here delay and say I won't have a delay about, let's say, 1 second, so every 1 second I will spawn here now something, that's another story. Well, let me show you what happens if you don't use that. That's interesting, perhaps, just for I'm curious as well. Let's see. I'm never using it, but let's see. And you can see something like that happen every frame, and it looks like this, and this you should not do. What you should do is make a delay here, for example. so that then after 1 second delay it will spawn the next one. Of course you can set the delay a little bit higher, depends on your needs. This is again gameplay setup, which we are not doing right now. We are just setting up the spawner. This gameplay setup later, all time later, when we start to test gameplay. Right now this one should be fine for our purposes. So let's start again, and you can see after 1.5 seconds it spawns all time. So the next point is, I want not that it spawns all time on the left side. I want to have a variation, and the variation is that we have to say this selector here. Right now you can see here on the bottom the selector has here a boolean. A boolean means in this case it says I am picking the A values, which is this one, A, and it says here it's false. So it means in this case it is not picking the A values, it is picking the B values. If I click here this button, this checkbox, then it says, okay, now I'm picking all the A values and not the B values. Let's test this fast, so for demonstration, for understanding purposes. And now you will see it comes all time down here, and that's very nice. You can see my numbers are also very nice. It's okay for test purposes. And now we have to set up this this selector. Very easy. We make this a variable first. Again, just make here promote to variable, so which means create a variable. And let's, what I called it here, spawn right. Okay. Let's call this also spawn right. Spawn right is A right? No, A is left, I think. Okay, anyway, spawn right and compile. After you create all time compile, select this again, and now we have to set spawn right. It means I want spawn this one here. I have to pick A. So this must be true. So I have to select this default value to be true, because this one says if this one is true, I will select A. And A is my right. But I think I missed this namings here. Perhaps I changed this namings. Is this? No, it's right. It's indeed right. Good. I thought I mismatched the namings here, but it's okay. Okay, so that's nice. So it is taking A, and A is indeed right. And now, but this one is still spawning all time A's, and I want make it, for example, that it can take also B. And this was set up will be later advanced in gameplay, but right now we make just a simple toggle, which means after we selected A, go to B, which means we set this one here, this boolean, after we spawned this value. Let's take the boolean here. I take it from here on the left side, is my spawn right, and get it as a setter. And what I do now is a toggle simulation, which means you get here this again, first get, and then negate the what it was with a not boolean, right? Not boolean. And this not boolean is just doing one thing. Doesn't matter which value you have here, I will set up the opposite. So for example, at start we have here the checkbox on, which means at start we have here true. And if I use this not, it is all time the opposite. So if I have here true, this node will put out here false. So and that's why it's called a toggle. We are simulating a toggle. And then we set this one back to our value, which means first I start with true. Then I said, okay, make the opposite not, and then set my value to the opposite. And then it becomes false. So we toggle, and all time when I spawn a value, it will toggle, which means later it will be false, then it makes the opposite, which is true, and it sets to true. And this value here is setting this one. First, true, false, true, false. True, false, true, false means here at this point, it's selecting A if it's true, it's selecting B if this one is false, and this one is just toggling. But this is not the end system which we are going to use, and the reason for that is because this one is just for demonstration purposes. Later, like I said, in gameplay we will use that. So that was that, and it's time to write first some comments. First of all, let's test this if this is working, then write some comments, because we have not see if this is working. So after my delay, yes, it's toggling. That's okay. That was what I said. It sets one time this side and this side. That looks already nice, but we are not finished. Let me write some comments here before I go on. So here, very simple comment calculate spawn right or left side of the wall. Spawn right or left side of wall. That's right, it's just so. All right, this one is done. Let's write here as well a faster comment and say here delay the spawn delay the spawn tile spawn frame, delay the spawn frame. That's okay, so that it's not spawning too much. And here we are spawning the obstacle itself. Let us just spawn obstacle with let's write here with calculated location, something like that. Okay, that's okay for my purposes to understand it, what I'm doing here. Here oh crap, I made all the comments on the right, on the wrong place. Oh my god, no. Okay, we skipped. I selected the wrong place. That was my test purposes, and now I no, man, no. All right, I did the comments. I make this offline now, and let's think that we did all these comments here, right? So, and here we said one more comment here would be, say, toggle right and left side. Yeah, when you are making oh my god, yeah, you should select the right file before you do something. All right, that's happening. That's not so wild. That was just commenting. So later I will comment this offline, but we are not finished, because there is one more step which I wanted to show you, and this one more step is this one here between. Let's see what this is. So one more step I want to show you. And what is the step? In my last video I said to you, because we are using just one obstacle instead of different kind of obstacles, we can resize it so that we don't have to use many obstacles here. With other words, instead of I need just one obstacle here, and I use the resize method so that I can use all time spawn 1 and just resize it so that it looks one time long, one time short, one time and the best part is it is so easy to do. But again, a warning, this works only if you have one obstacle where you just changing side. If you have, for example, static meshes, which looks really cool with shapes, with a different kind of shapes, that will not work. Then you need an array of obstacles, and then you need a special selector for these obstacles and all this kind of stuff. I skip by using just this version here. So it's a very simple version, but yeah, it works. So, and the simple version, it's nice. We need just this one node here. It is called Set Actor Scaled 3D. Very nice solution. Again, very simple one. Set actor scale 3D, and you can see the name, it says already the actor which we are using, which is our target here. We will scale it, and scale 3D means we have 3 values here to scale. We will only use one value, and the one value, let me split. I right click here, split struct, because I want not scale all 3 values. You can see we have here again X, Y, Z, and the value which we want scale is just when I start my game. You can see Your obstacle looks all time this. Of course, you can make it here a little bit bigger as well if you are interested. So in this in the X axis, but I'm interested in the length at this point. But of course, you can make a difference later. But at this point, just length, which means I scale it here in length, and length is my Z axis. So I use only the Z axis. So how I make this? First of all, before I go here to the scale, I have of course set up the target, and in my case the target is that what I spawn here, which means I can just connect this one here directly in it. Alright, that's good. And now how I set the target, let's see how I did this. Okay, random float in range. Ah, that's interesting. And the solution what the Endless Runner creator used is a very nice one. Instead of using fixed values for every obstacle, he made a random generator. And yeah, we make this too. Random float in range again. We used this already, and you can see set here 2 values. I use now the values which he's used, 2 and 1 here. Min 2. How is min 2 and max 1? Did I made here some values wrong? I don't think it's min 2 and max 1. Other way around, perhaps. Perhaps I mixed there again something. Let's set it min 1 and max 2. And let's this to set. And here I have some default values also for X and Y, because that you have to set, or this will not work. This values you can test here a little bit, play around later. Let's set here 0, 5 and 1 for this one, which means X is a little bit thinner here, so half. If make this one in half because you have 1 normally, and the scale Y he caps to 1, whatever it is. But the only thing, so, and that's one. Let's write here a comment: scaling obstacle with randomly. That's okay. And with that set, we can test this now. Probably we have to readjust our values, because I made this one here the half value, and here is something strange. This looks very big. Why? What I did wrong here? Min 2, 1. I think he turned here the values around. Oh, I wrote here 20, by the way. That's also a wrong thing. Okay. Alright, I think this time it works. The 20 was probably not the right scale. And you can see you have, because I halved the value, now it's not exactly on the wall. But yeah, you can make it exactly on the wall if you want. And yeah, you see it is working. This is the base system again. And that's all what I needed here. And this, like I said, this commenting I make later. So this is all that what we needed for our creation of our obstacle actually. Oh, of course, later we have adjust the gameplay settings and make this probably a little bit more in variation, but later. This in gameplay setup. This one was just the obstacle setup and the variation. So yeah, with that said, I think I stopped this video. And if you have like all time any questions on the complaints or anything like that, write it in the comments. See you in the next video where we will continue this kind of stuff. And yeah, bye, good luck, and like all time, have fun.